Hi, I'm Chelsea, and for our book Stunning Digital Photography, we're going over levitation photography. Now, there are two ways to take a levitation photograph. The first way, you just set a high shutter speed and have your subject jump, and it creates the illusion that they're floating. The method we're going to be using is that I'll be propping myself up with these books here, taking two pictures, and then blending the two exposures together in post to make it look like I'm floating. The only hardware you really need is a camera and a tripod, but because this is a self-portrait for us, we're also using a remote shutter release and a few other pieces of equipment I'll get into later. The first thing you'll want to do before you take your shot is make your story. So I had envisioned a couple sitting together and reading by a fire. So I got these prop books and got Tony, my prop husband, and found a nice nook of the house that would look good on camera. So we set up our camera and our tripod and kind of played around with the crop and the angle to make sure that we'd have our fireplace in the shot and the lamp and the chair, everything we thought would be attractive. One interesting thing that we did was I really wanted it to look warm. I wanted it to look like the fire was glowing and we were nestled up and comfortable in our home. So we got another light on a tripod, another flash, put an orange gel over it and put it behind our fireplace, which actually goes completely through to the other side, and had it flash through at us so that we had nice warm lighting like the fire was glowing. To trigger the flash that we set up behind the fireplace, we used a pocket wizard. We also used a flash on top of our camera to kind of bounce the light off of the wall and fill the room with light from the other direction so that the lighting wasn't too hard. Next, we set our camera timer to an 8-second delay and just kind of posed for a while. Once you get the pictures that you like, move out of your frame, take a picture of your background, and then it's time to bring your photos into post-processing. Now that you've finished taking your pictures, load them onto your computer and use your editing software of choice to start merging your photos. It doesn't matter which editing program you use. I'm going to use Photoshop, but as long as it can blend two pictures, you'll be all set. I've loaded my pictures into Lightroom, so I'm going to click the levitation photo of my choice, and then I'm going to choose a background picture to blend it with. Using Control-click, I selected both pictures at once. Once you have your photo selected, right-click and choose Edit In. Then go to Open as Layers in Photoshop. Now that you have both of your pictures imported into your editing program, put your levitation photo on top. So you can see the background is on the bottom. Select both of your pictures, go to Edit, and auto-align your layers to make sure that they match up. Using the auto projection option works just fine. Next, select your top layer, your levitation photo, and create a mask. Click on your mask, select your paintbrush tool, and make sure that you're painting in black, and you can start to erase the books out of your picture. I like to make sure that my paintbrush is soft and that my opacity is fairly low. I have it at 48 right now. So let me zoom in here. Make my brush a little bit bigger, and you can start blending away whatever it is you're levitating on. So one problem we ran into when we started editing the pictures was that I noticed that the background picture had cooler lighting than the picture with me levitating, and I think it's because one of the flashes was bouncing off me and making a warmer light. So what I did was I selected my background photo, and in the adjustment layers, I put a photo filter on with the color orange and warmed up the background a little bit until the color matched the foreground better. So that's pretty good. And since your opacity is low, you can just kind of blend the pictures together so the color difference isn't so obvious. Once you have your color adjusted, you can continue taking those books out. Another problem that I ran into is that my skirt was flowing behind the books at one point, so I can't just use the layer mask and paint up the books. So what I did was I selected a section of my skirt, making sure that I have the hemline in there, and create a new layer to paste the piece of clothing into. Now that you have part of the skirt pasted in, you can move it, go to Edit, Free Transform, and line it up with the rest of the hem. Now that you have the skirt in there, it's really rough, you can use an eraser and I will just blend it in. This is kind of a rough example, so I'm going to do a little bit more tweaking and play around with this to get it just right, and then I will cut to the finished product. Next, I'm going to re-import it into Lightroom by saving my photo and finish up the rest of my editing there. Now that I'm in Lightroom, I'll click on Develop to finish editing and crop it down a little bit. Next, I'm going to soften my photo up to give it a warmer, cozier feeling by just reducing my clarity just a little tiny bit. I usually like to just play with my adjustments a little bit to get a nice feel going in the picture. So that's all just a matter of taste. And there you have it. There is our finished Levitation photo. There are a few other pictures that I played around with as well.